Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jennifer Jefferies, the present-day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those of you who are wanting to really rock your life and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. Let's talk about the ratios between copper and zinc. They are two basic minerals in our body that are really important. And a couple of simple places day to day that you'll actually see where they're influencing. So I want to talk about that, how copper and zinc are awesome minerals independently and how they really have some interesting benefits in your body when they're in the correct ratio. So let's go. So copper's involved with things like enzyme reactions in the body, and it's needed for our connective tissues to be able to form properly, energy production, iron metabolism. A lot of people are low in iron nowadays, and an antioxidant defense. It is just so cool. And it's really interesting. Like, I do a lot of gardening, and most of the antifungals and all the bug kind of sprays, so many of them actually are based around using copper as part of it. Also really important for us for our nervous system and helping our body just synthesize the neurotransmitters, how everything fires in our body. Copper's, I use, like us and plants, it's all the same. I use copper in my gardening to help my plants be healthy, and we need it in us as well. So zinc. Now, zinc is really important for enzyme processes as well, but it's more about things like growth. You see a lot of kids, there's a big demand when kids are growing. They go through to go through a growth spurt. They use a ton of zinc. They really do. And when kids have used up the zinc doing a growth spurt, they end up being finicky eaters. Yes, they do. So if you've got a kid who's being a finicky eater and they've been through a growth spurt, go and get them some zinc gummies or something from the health food shop. Really important for our immune system and also just our development, especially in growing kids. It plays a really huge role in gene expression, protein synthesis, and wound healing. We need it for our immune system. Everything from cell division and hormone regulation and protecting us against oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is the thing that takes our body or taxes our body the most. Now, the thing with copper and zinc, it's interesting. They actually compete for absorption inside our intestines. And when our body's got too much of one, it can interfere with the other. And the same as I've already done on previous podcasts on things like calcium and magnesium, all of our minerals, they work in ratio with different ones. And copper and zinc run together. So really important with this one because there's so many, not complications, but there's so many impacts when they're out of balance. So the recommended dietary ratio between copper and zinc is usually about 1 part copper to 10 parts zinc. Okay, but imagine, and this is a classic, we see it, kids go through a growth spurt, they use a heap of zinc, all right, and they end up having the copper and zinc out of balance. The copper ends up being too high to the zinc. So an easy way to kind of understand this is if you've ever been pregnant, it's really interesting. The copper and zinc ratio really needs to be in check. So when you first get pregnant, your copper goes higher than your zinc, all right? And that's where it's meant to be. It's all part of your body, being able to hold a pregnancy. But in regular life, your copper is lower than your zinc. So then imagine you've got a child and they go through a growth spurt. They use a lot more zinc. Their copper now ends up being higher than their zinc. Now, like in those first few months of a pregnancy, if you've ever been pregnant, your brain's all over the place. A kid's brain goes all over the place too. And one of the first things we do with ADHD kids is bring that copper-zinc balance back. And so we usually do that by giving the kids zinc. And we can do hair tissue mineral analysis and things like that to see they actually shows the ratios. But that's a really simple one that, it's very real. And the thing with copper is that copper is found more easily, readily in foods than zinc is. And copper is found in everything from things like green grapes and strawberries. And in like summertime, when I used to live up in Townsville in far north Queensland, you'd freeze green grapes because they're just so just nice to chew on, and to suck on a hot summer's day. But I'd see parents giving their kids frozen green grapes and the kids just getting off their tree. And it's because they had too much copper to zinc, where zinc is coming from things like, pumpkin seeds and seafood and meat. It's different. So like all minerals, we're wanting to have everything in balance, and too much of anything is not good. We want to have, have a little bit of everything. You can start getting gut issues if your copper is too high for too long. But the quickest, easiest thing to show that things are off track between copper and zinc is mood changes. It really is. And if it is, the first thing you want to do is bring up zinc. So when zinc is low, we start seeing growth retardation. So in kids, if they're not growing and there's, that kind of stuff, it's really big. Hair, skin, and nails, really interesting. An altered taste. So you can get like a really metallic kind of taste when your body's not got enough zinc. Sense of smell, wound healing, immune system, all those kind of things are really taxed. So ideally, we're having a balanced diet and getting it from foods, okay, between copper and zinc rich foods. So some of the foods that are rich in copper are simple things like strawberries and grapes. Don't sit a kid down to a punnet of strawberries or a big bag of grapes. They'll go off their tree. Generally, they will. But also things like organ meats, shellfish, legumes, nuts and seeds, whole grains, all the brown ones, where things like zinc, things like I said, meat, dairy, poultry, seafood, pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are one of the easiest ones. And for guys, they really want to eat to make sure that they're using plenty or consuming plenty of zinc-rich foods, because it's really needed for their male reproductive things and preventing prostate cancer and stuff like that. So sometimes you might need supplementation. Normal story, go and have a chat to the person in your health food shop or something. But copper and zinc is really important for physiological balance in the body, and one of the easiest ways to notice that it's off track is with moods. Remember that one, especially if you've got kids. They show it really quickly. I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. Every month I draw one lucky person who leaves a review, have a free 1-hour consultation with me. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're tuning in from, so that you always catch the next episode. I welcome your emails, and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.